Good evening and welcome to News Report. My name is KAMOTA MAYONDI and you're watching us on channel 112, which is Live TV on your Top Star decoder. And if you're watching us on Facebook, good evening to you who are watching via our Facebook live stream at Live TV Facebook. And so tonight we are starting with an interview and we're looking at the toll of COVID-19 on examination classes. So the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the education system worldwide, leading to a near total closure of most schools, at universities and colleges. Most governments around the world closed education institutions, and Zambia did follow suit when around mid-March of this year, the Zambian government, through the Minister of Health, announced in a press briefing that schools, colleges, and universities would close indefinitely on Friday, 20th March 2020, amid fears of the coronavirus breakout and the spread that had ravaged most parts of the world. Fast forward to 8th of May, during the president's third address to the nation, the president announced that pupils in examination classes would begin reporting for school on June 1, 2020, exclaiming concern that if schools remain closed, the country may experience a crisis in the education sector. And just looking at statistics from a global overview, as at 23rd of July 2020, approximately 1.7 billion learners are currently affected due to the closure response of schools in the midst of the pandemic. And I'm very excited to speak with our guest today. In studio tonight, we speak to Dr. SIATWAMBO, who is the founder and chief executive officer of Great North Road Academy Group of Companies, and that's an independent school here in Lusaka. Dr. SIATWAMBO has been described by the BBC as changing the way people engage with education. Good evening and welcome, Dr. SIATWAMBO.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening. And getting into the conversation, COVID has definitely disrupted so many sectors, including education. So what would you say is the greatest impact of COVID-19 on the Zambian education system?
First and foremost, the closure itself. The closure of schools has got a psychological impact on part of the learners themselves. All right, so you have these learners that have been used to the school system. They've been in the school system for a long time, and all of a sudden they have to be sent into the society where they are not guided. You know, at school there are certain rules
There's a structure.
structures that are normally put in place. But eventually they are sent into the society where there are no rules. So definitely expect a catastrophe out there. And hence, most of them are living under no guidance at all, because most of the parents are busy, they're at work and doing some other things. Mm-hmm. That is from the pupils' point of view. And we are likely to see a lot of drain in terms of information they would have learned, because they've never stayed this long out of school. So by the time they're coming back, we have to start reloading the softwares into them, just for them to get back to the normal way of learning. The other impact, of course, I'll talk from the private schools' point of view, in that private schools have been hardly hit, the most hit of all these, because private schools normally thrive on pupils, the number of pupils. When pupils are on board, when they are learning, then we run. Now, we have a situation where private schools and universities are closed, meaning they have lost out on the part of income. And losing out on the part of income, you find that teachers in some sectors are not getting paid, so you have this one going down now. Other families, their families also being affected. And also more pressure that was added with the reopening of the 3 grades, that is grade 9, 7, and also 12, right, where you're made to run maybe on a few pupils, and then the operations are full to the capacity. You must run the entire organization, but meanwhile, what is coming in is little.
Right, so I like that you bring in the aspect of there's groups, there's the students, there's the pupils who are affected because they haven't spent that much time away from school, and you also have the business aspect of it, the resources. You're running a entire institution, you have teachers you have fixed costs, and then you only have so many classes open. So all teachers are currently still working, despite them only serving 3 grades.
All teachers are still working. Actually, there's more pressure now than before, because now we were told to say you have to put them in streams. And those streams, you cannot have more than 25 in a class.
Right.
So 25 is the maximum. So you find that where you had 2 streams, if it's the grade 9s, now you have maybe 5 streams, 4 or 5 streams that you must
to adhere to social distancing and
yeah, you're right. So meaning now you must bring every teacher or teachers on board. So you're talking about the entire school that is running just on a small number, and you must foot all these bills. If it's the boarding school, it's worse, because we know running a boarding school is not something which is very cheap. So they must eat, you must pay for electricity. So everything is running normally, but the what?
So I just would like you to paint a picture for us what the new normal looks like in a school. So you talk about splitting a class to different streams. So if you had 50 in a class, now you've broken it down to 2 classrooms. So what is the setting like in classrooms? Are children wearing masks in class? It would be interesting to get a picture of what that's like.
We have a very big challenge with the learners. It's something that you have to keep on, for instance, enforcing. Yeah, because I mean, with the learners, there's full of excitement. Wherever they meet, they want to
they huddle in groups.
Yeah, in groups and so on. So it's something where you have to be. Everyone has to be running up and down all the time. Now we have been made now to trot around, and wherever you are, you have to police them. So you're moving like police officers. and you know, a young mind, if you handle a young mind like that, they become excited. So they want to pressure you now to say, let's see. So the moment they see you coming, they'll quickly mask up. And then the moment you're gone, again, they go back to the normal. So it's something that we're trying to just educate them to say, this is for your life, for your sake. Yeah, but others are adhering to that. Yeah, social distance and all this, they're adhering to that. But others, you have to keep on, and you have to tell them to say, this is for your own good.
Right. I like that you've given a picture to say it is challenging with when it comes to pupils. Like even when I was driving here, you see them walking in a very big group, very happy and. Yeah, so that is a challenge indeed. And when it comes to the setback of continuation, the period of time that they spent away from the classroom, you talked about the information gap. So what has that been like with the examination class? How have you tried to get them back to that level they were at before they went on this very long break?
With the examination classes, we had to engage them in like there are these whatever the mental health, whatever mentor some kind of mentorship. So immediately they came back, we didn't want just to go straight into teaching them. Like in our case, we had to mentor them first of all, and just trying to help them, because I mean, what has happened has never happened to them.
It's unprecedented.
It's something which is for the first time, and some of them, they can't understand why, and moreover, they can't understand why only us, why our friends at home and so on. School is school and everyone is in school anyway.
It's a community.
Yeah, it's a community. Yeah, but now you have others that haven't reported, and even with their coming back, sometimes you read a lot of fears on their faces and a lot of uncertainties, because now there's a lot of news that is flying around. Like yesterday, I think I got some calls to say, no, there's a circular that is going around to say schools will be closing on Friday. I said, no, we haven't received anything official. And you go around and then learners are telling you, say, no, we've heard about this. We have. So every day you keep on correcting whatever information. Now you have these learners that are preparing for an exam, but with a lot of uncertainty and all this disturbing news and so on. Yeah, so it's quite challenging. It's quite challenging, but at the end of the day, we just keep on telling them to say, guys, keep on running. Let's keep on working. Let's keep on studying. Yeah.
Right. If you've just joined us, you are watching News Report. My name is KAMOTA Mayondi. In studio with me is Dr. ROZIOUS SIATWAMBO, who is the CEO of the Great North Road Academy group of companies, and tonight we're discussing the toll of COVID-19 on examination classes. So examination classes in Zambia are grades 7, 9, and 12. So on the 23rd of March 2020, Cambridge International Examination, CIE, released a statement announcing the cancellation of the Cambridge IGCSE, Cambridge O-Level, and the Cambridge International AS and A-Level, amongst other examinations in the 2020 series across all countries. Bringing this now to a Zambia-specific conversation, do you think that the Examination Council of Zambia should have followed suit?
Well, whichever way, maybe I can say it would have been costly for the Zambian setup, and it would be costly.
How so?
And okay, in our case, we are caught up. It's different from the Western world. I mean, in that, in our case, if we say children should stay away, all right. Stay away from school. In fact, a school environment is better and well organized than when they're at home.
Right.
Because when they're at home, they are not monitored much. They are neighbors, they are all these, they go into groups and so on. So a school environment is more and also well organized. So cancelling whatever an exam, I think to me to be more deadly. Because at the end of the day, when you send them away, are you sure that when they're at home, they're doing the correct thing or not? But when they're kept in school, I think it's a better and also well-organized kind of an arrangement. But just to make a comment on the cancellation of these exams by these international bodies, I know maybe you are going to ask this question. In my view, going forward, to the policymakers, if it was within my means, all right, this whole COVID, whatever, calls for changes.
Right.
All right, calls for reforms, right? It calls for a lot of things, and there's so many things that need to be redone about our education system. And one of the things that probably I could have recommended is to decentralize our examination system. Decentralization in such a way that, okay, you read about the UK way of doing things where Cambridge does examine, you have London University, so all this. So why can't we have the University of Zambia, for instance, being mandated? You have probably other bodies that can be entrusted, they are mandated, of course, regulated by the Ministry of Education, all right? Or maybe regulated by the Examination Council of Zambia, so that these bodies can be examining, all right, to avoid now this dead end now where we are in, because everyone is static even when some of us can teach online, right? Because there's only one examining body, and because there's only one examining body now, we are stuck. Everyone's stuck. And you can't move, you must wait for the minister to announce, to say, let's move now. But you can't have a country where all of you must move. Even if some are faster, those who are faster, let them arrive.
Okay, so one thing that COVID-19 has definitely exposed is the inequality in the education sector or system in Zambia. For example, you've just given a very good illustration to say, some institutions have the capacity to go online. Let them go ahead.
Yeah.
So should we then have a sort of exclusive, because that makes education now slightly more exclusive. So those who have capacity will progress. Those who don't will have to wait until the ministry says, okay, now we can return. So where do we draw the line or find the balance?
But me, I'm better off if those that are able to move, they move, because you can't all be in a ditch, all right? And then you want to wait not until everyone comes out for you to start moving. Why can't those that are able to come out, and then from there they start fishing out those who are unable to come out? To me, that's my reasoning, to say those that are able to move, you run, okay? Because at the end of the day, in the name of let's wait for everyone to catch up those that are in the rural areas, I'm not discriminating them. I'm for to say let's do our best, whatever we're going to. But we can't wait to say let's wait for them, and then that's when we're going to move. Then those that are faster will end up becoming what? Illiterates. So why can't those that are faster, you move? Can you go? Let's start fishing out those that are coming behind. So I don't like this kind of reasoning anyway. If it was within my means, if I was the Minister of Education, I would have said, okay, let's move.
So you want
those who are able to move.
A change in policy. And getting back to the question about policy, so you've said we need to decentralize the examination system where we have several bodies who are mandated.
That is my stance. So, that way it simply means if, for instance, as Great Northern Academy,
right,
we are able to teach. We have platforms we're able to teach. Right now, our learners are learning via online, right? So we are capable. We have all the equipment. Non-examinations, we are able to attend to them. So if we're affiliated, for instance, we had all these bodies, why can't we say, okay, we can't go the ECZ way? Why can't we go the university way? So that those who are able, okay, let's go this way if that there's a calamity. Now, with this centralization kind of whatever arrangement, it simply means when there's a problem, everyone will just be stuck. So
just help us understand, as people who are outside of the education sector, is it a syllabus issue? Would the ideal situation be these are different syllabuses that are offered, or it's a standard one, but the authority to examine is with different institutions? Just help me.
You mean the authority to examine at grade 12?
At either level, whether it's grade 12, grade 7, or grade 9. Are we talking about, for example, you can either write the GRZ exams, or you could write a Cambridge exam. Do we want to have different types of examinations?
Examination bodies, but local ones, yes.
That is but what local
ones,
saying.
Yes. You give authority maybe to the University of Zambia. That's a credible body.
Okay. Okay.
University of Zambia is a credible body. So you identify probably another one. Like they've done it even in university. Or maybe I'll give you an example of colleges. Colleges before these universities started springing up, university on behalf of ECZ, I think that one is still happening even now or whatever. They could write exams and then ECZ moderates, right? So one could write an exam via whatever University of Zambia, but moderated by ECZ. And even in Horn, it used to happen. Even up to now, I'm sure even Horn universities are set by ECZ, but they are being written under even Horn.
So we wanted to now trickle down to primary and
secondary school.
All right.
For as long as this will remain the same way it is, I want to assure you to say, you can't have the whole country to say, let's move on the same page. It can never happen.
And out of curiosity, I like that you mentioned that it's a policy issue. Do you have audience? Are you able to suggest? Have you made an appeal? Do you have anyone's ear? Say, these are our thoughts. This is what
not in this year. Not in this year.
No? Okay.
We're just moving with our thoughts. Okay. They will tell you to say we are consulting, but no one has reached out to us to say, can you help us? And
but
in any case, sometimes you have people whom, if you're trying to tell them, say, this is how things are supposed to be, then they'll, who are you to tell us that way? That's what I'm saying. If it was within my own means, this is what I was thinking, what is supposed to be done.
Right.
Yeah?
Right. And so when it comes to, we've looked at what you would like to see be done with regard to the way that exams are conducted. When it comes down to the actual pupils, how are we making sure that they are prepared adequately for examinations? Because yes, they are back in class, but how will we make sure that we see them performing at their utmost best level despite the disturbance?
The major sickness is actually the mental, maybe can I say on the mental health aspect. So this time around, whoever has to win the battle, they need to work on the mental health aspect. The mental health aspect simply means we must educate these learners. And this is the major problem that we're having in this country, because everyone is problem in the mind. Where everyone thinks, they are down, probably they are slow learners, or they cannot do what, and so on. So we need to tackle that area, because once one's mind is healthy and also they understand who they are, it becomes very easy for them to tackle any kind of whatever challenging. Let me just mention to say in Zambian setup, or maybe can I say as a country, we have never been taught on the side of fighting on how to fight these challenges and also failures. That's why most of the people, when they're faced with a challenge, they are crybabies. They would rather they start crying, mourning, complaining, or boma yanganepa and so on, because we have never been taught to say fight when there's a problem. And this is when we needed to come in now to tell our learners to say, when there's a challenge, it doesn't mean that your brain has stopped functioning. No. In fact, this is the best time when your brain is working. Push hard, right? And there's something that from our side, anyway, from our institution, we've been doing so. We have these mentorship programs that we conduct from time to time. So it's maybe from that angle, learners are supposed to be taught to be strong, to stand on their own. Of which most of them now, from this COVID break, you just go straight into teaching without just dealing with their minds.
Okay,
then how do you expect them to study and also to perform?
So so basically what you have explained is that you have sort of coached or slowly just giving them that encouragement to prepare them mentally for what is coming ahead with regard to their learning
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've just joined us, you're watching News Report. My name is KAMOTA MAYONDI. We're talking about the COVID-19 impact on examination classes with Dr. ROZIOUS SIATWAMBO. And if you'd like to ask a question, you can get in touch with us on 0976 599 547. The number is on the screen. We'd love to hear from you. And so we've looked at the challenges faced. We've looked at possibly decentralizing the examination process. When it comes to the pass rates, what are we expecting that to look like within your institution?
Oh, well, with our institution, I think we're going to have better grades than the previous years.
How so? How so?
No, I'm very sure because we have taught our learners to say this is the best time to show the world, to say you are capable. And we've told them to say, this COVID you're seeing now, probably 5-10 years ago, the world would have forgotten that there was COVID. But the results that you're going to get, they'll still have a point on you.
Right.
To say, you have this. And you not go about the world telling everyone, say, no, I got a 9 because there was COVID, no one will understand. So we have told them that way, to say, in fact, there's any year you need to work very hard, it is now. And why I'm saying it's now, because this year the world will be able to understand, even the examination body, I'm sure there will be some leniency somewhere. Yeah, so take advantage of that leniency, take advantage of that understanding. And I was almost going into the business, whatever. To say it is also those that are sharp when it comes to business. This is the most fertile ground, because there is that understanding, even why you're owing, you're doing what, and so on. So why can't you take advantage of that to do what? To shoot up, to go up. Yeah.
So I like that you say that there is possibility of some leniency being given to from markers to students or pupils this time around. Now, we've talked about what you're expecting within your academy. Looking at a national level, what do you think the pass rates will look like in examination classes on a country level? Will we see improved pass rates? Will we see a flat line or a decline?
Dropping is a definite answer.
It's a definite answer.
Dropping is a definite answer. Unless maybe there will be some moderation somewhere. That's what I'm saying. Lenience, maybe there could be some lenience to say, okay, now we understand. It's a COVID intake. But there will be a drop. So
should the examination, so where do we put this leniency? Should the examination be set at a slightly, to make sure that, okay, let's give them a bit of a through ball, or should the leniency be now on the marker side? So should it be the way the paper is set, or should it be on the other side? Well,
first, I forgot to mention one item. With this year's intake, I think they have a double blow.
How so?
In that there will be the first intake, grade 7, grade 9, and 12 to write this exam this year. The format of they've changed the format of the exam. So there'll be more or less like the first intake.
Right. So it's
it's in a unique, but also unique exam, in a unique setting, unique year, everything totally different. So we should expect blows. Yeah, we should expect blows because they've done a lot of changes in terms of the papers and so on. Right. Yeah, even the questioning techniques also
have changed.
They have changed. So we need to exercise maximum lenience.
Well, I like that you've put it out there that leniency is something that should be given, because it's definitely a unique year. But we definitely would like to see that the children come out on the other side better, yeah, right? Not just making it possible for them
everyone to pass,
to move. Which brings me to the next aspect of the way that this school year is for students. Well, in institutions that have done it successfully, there will be transitions made. But in certain, what is it going to look like? For example, we have grade 8s, we have grade 7s who'll be moving into grade 8. grade 9s will be moving into grade 10, grade 12s will hopefully be getting into colleges and universities. So the whole moving up, do you think the students will be ready to take on the next grade? Will they be fully baked? Will they be ready pupils for the next step?
I'll speak from my own point of view, in my opinion, and with various assumptions. To say, assuming the term probably opens in September, yeah, it is possible. It's possible in that probably, you know, the term, the closures, the holidays, some of the holidays are quite long. So some of these holidays can be what? They can be made longer, right? They can be compressed.
Like 3 holidays, the longest one.
One.
Yes.
So that can be compressed. You can easily catch up maybe within a space of about a year or so by shortening these whatever breaks in between. And by making sure that if it's September, it is possible that we can make it, provided maybe September schools open.
Normally.
But if we're to go into the following year, that's when it will become very difficult, because now 2 grades, it will mean they have to be compressed, come together, or either we may choose to say no recruitment from grade 1, or maybe no one should go into grade 1. But at least, but again,
all learners equal. The poor grade 1s, poor nursery to grade 1, and that is definitely something that will become a challenge in the event that we're looking at December and COVID-19 is still doing really, really high numbers. So looking at a sustainability long-term aspect, worst case scenario, it's December 2020, COVID is still very much within the community. How then, and we need to say, look, we can't have this going on, schools need to open. How would we tackle a situation where we have grades 1 to 12 in an institution? What would that look like?
Provide in an instance where COVID is still around. That would be a very difficult scenario. That would be a very.
Are we planning that far ahead, or are we hoping that we don't have to get to that point?
We are hoping. The prayer is we shouldn't, because I can imagine, because there's some schools that have probably 1,000 pupils in one area, and not only 1,000, but per classroom you have got maybe up to about 100. I know of some classrooms that have got up to 120. So 120 in a classroom. How do you practice social distance? So that one is practical. But again, the fears that are there from what we are getting from World Health Organization is COVID is still with us.
Right.
Very much still with us. And even in the Western world, if you check America now, the numbers are back. Right. Most of these countries, again, the numbers are coming back. So
it's like a second wave.
Second wave, and we are still with it.
Right. And so we've talked about the pupils, we've talked about the teachers. What about parents and guardians? How best can they support their children? How best can they support the institutions in providing their children with the best possible education, even in these trying times?
For parents, I would urge them to, number one, explore the new avenues. The new avenues. It's an investment. Of course, I can talk about the online, because I know some of these online platforms that are doing well. I would urge them to go that way, because by letting the child again stay at home in the name of we wait for the physical classes, you don't know when. All right, so that could be one of them. And also the other one is where a teacher cannot, why not come in? And I think our stance, our belief, and not only the belief, which is real, to say the greatest teacher in the life of a child is a parent. And that's the first teacher, by the way. The moment a child is born, the parent teaches the child on how to crawl, how to do it, and so on.
But
so if
parents
you have
are not keen on teaching fractions. They're not.
They'll have no option.
They're not.
They'll have no option but to seek for
challenge.
guidance from the teachers, and then probably this era now is the era where teachers maybe can only do up to a certain point, but monitoring and other things.
Parents have to be very.
They have to pick it up. They have to pick it up. So we just have to adopt new methods, because again the danger of letting these young ones just stay at home without any guidance and any programs, it's quite deadly. We are, by the way, we are running a rehabilitation center, and we have seen an influx in the number of young people now that are being brought in for substance abuse. A lot of them now that are coming in.
Because of the
because of the times now where they're just at home, and I can imagine by the time we are done, we've got so many cases, so there's so much damage, and we shouldn't just look at it from the COVID, whatever, those that are getting sick, but even those that are dying, whatever, their dreams are being shut, and you're seeing them, they'll never, and so on. Yeah.
So there is definitely a lot of other well, there's you mentioned mental health and just the anxiety and the stress that comes with this particular time.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your institution, you're ensuring that there's no lag behind with either examination and non-examination classes. You're trying to take everyone.
We are taking everyone on board. We are taking everyone on board. We are a contemporary kind of an institution, so we understand the times in which we are. All right. So the moment schools were closed, we went into studies on how best we could reach out to parents, to every learner. So I've been reaching out to every learner, and you'll be amazed if you come on the ground to say our teachers, we had to take them through now IT. Every teacher is an IT specialist, where they're able to create, if it's for the little ones, we're able to create cartoons. Cartoons where they are learning the voice of the teacher, they're getting it, but they're getting these pictures, and the parents are able to get those videos. So parents are monitoring at home and following, and even the works are being done and everything. Yeah.
So you come from a private institution, and it's possible to do certain things, but I'd like to shift the conversation away from the private sector to the government. So what could the government do to improve or to strategically invest in education in the event of an emergency, so that we don't have a situation, as you said, where everything has to come to a standstill? So what can the government do or invest in?
Number one is to copy from us. Yeah, that's what, because we have the best systems. We have the best systems, yeah. Though sometimes we are being accused of being the people behind the leakages, to say we are behind the leakages, when it's not. But the best is, I think, to have a wider consultation.
Okay. So
we have
leverage
the know-how
on each other's skills.
Skills and so on. We know the best. We know what is supposed to be done. I know what I'm talking about, and I know what my team is capable of doing. If we had chance, could have opened the page, and then you see what the team is able to do on the ground, and how I wish every school could have copied, could have gone in that direction, where we are able to reach out to the learners in their homes. Even now, where they're able to view the teachers and so on, they're able to learn. So we have all these platforms and so on. So the government probably should explore now all these other avenues. And the goodness about the government is they have all these whatever policy directions and the power to just maybe command certain things. Bundles are one of those things where everyone is complaining. But there are certain platforms like the one we are using. There are two platforms we are using. The other one you can use bundles. The other one you can't use. If you don't want, you don't use bundles.
Which is what, because data is quite expensive.
Expensive, yeah. So at least we are able to reach out to even those that cannot manage bundles. They're able to learn, yeah.
Well, on that note, it's been a really good conversation with you, Dr. SIATWAMBO. And on that note, we say, hold on, we go to a break. We'll be back with more of the news report. This has been me, KAMOTA MAYONDI, with Dr. ROZIOUS SIATWAMBO, who is the CEO of the Great North Road Academy group of companies. Stay tuned. We go to a break, and I'll be back with Sally.
Good evening, and if you're just joining us right now, you are watching News Report with me, SALIFYANJI BWEUPE.
And KAMOTA Mayondi.
And before we went on a break, KAMOTA Mayondi was just interviewing Dr. ROZIOUS SIATWAMBO from Great North Road Academy group of companies. And it was a very interesting interview. And it's interesting to see, you know, how well prepared the school is, how well versed they are, and that, you know, when it comes to education, a lot of investment needs to be done in it. It has to be so much more than just being, you know, syllabuses and whatnot, but where they're able to deal with mental health, you know, issues as well, you know, and all these other extracurricular activities is very, very interesting.
Right, it would be nice to see it spill over in other
institutions. Exactly, and I like the point that he raised, you know, that if those that can move forward might as well move forward, and the rest will follow suit. It may not really be appreciated by everybody, but I feel like, you know, there are those like people those that deserve, you know, to be where they, you know, they ought to be, and they are ready for it. I think should be able to take on that challenge as well. In as much as, yes, there is need to look at all these others, you know, that could not do not really have the opportunity or, you know, the right tech that they need to get them to where they are. It's very important that what can be done is done, so that we're able to, you know, move with the flow, because we don't know when this pandemic is going to end.
Unfortunately, not.
Exactly. So now we get into the lead story for this evening. ZAO urges government to support rural schools with internet services. Tinkamba cancels DPP on proposal to punish people who withdraw cases before courts. And in international news, many still awaiting promised stimulus check that is in the US. To get into details of the stories, the Zambia Alliance of Women, ZAW, has advised government to ensure that there is more determination to achieving e-learning amidst the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. ZAW notes that the marginalized can hardly connect with other lecturers or school or teachers for lack of proper internet services. Organization Executive Director Eda Chimia says that there are primary school pupils that live in areas where there is no internet connectivity. Ms. Chimia says most of them do not have money to buy bundle every day and do not have television sets that some pupils are privileged with. Ms. Chimia says that e-learning was somehow also a discrimination to the pupils living with disabilities, more especially the blind. She said it was important to research and appreciate the challenges that the new type of learning has come with and find a way forward so that no one is left behind. Ms. Chimia observed that it was also difficult for children to learn from home environment compared to adults, and that it was also difficult for guardians to fit in the shoes of teachers to assist. So that is a story coming out of ZAO and urging government to support rural schools with internet, you know, connectivity as well. And this is something that we've talked about on the show as well, and it's something obviously that our guest was talking about as well, where there's a challenge to do with, you know, pupils that are in the rural areas and accessing, you know, the right information, you know, when it comes to them moving forward with their education as well. And I think this will take more than just the government. If there are any, you know, private, you know, entities or institutions that can also come in and, you know, support the government, you know, in ensuring that, you know, the requirements are met, you know, with the children that are lagging behind. I think that is also something that will be appreciated as well. And also, I do understand it, you know, where you have, as a parent, you have a child that you feel at a certain time should be completing school or should be getting into the next grade. You know, you're doing all you can, and there's no accessibility, you know, to that form of education. What do you do as well, you know? So
I like how this particular news story that we're leading with ties beautifully into the conversation that we had with Dr. SIATWAMBO. Like you said, the issues of accessibility, and in the particular interview, we highlighted that there's definitely COVID-19 has really highlighted the fact that there's such a huge gap when it comes to, for example, we only just looked at those who have access to either data, but we're looking at those who have actual physical disabilities, and they're not able. If you're blind, how are you going to benefit from an e-learning platform if it doesn't encompass you. So it's very, very important that the government has a very holistic approach to the challenges that we have had so very blatantly highlighted by the fact that we have COVID-19.
Exactly,
it really has us thinking and seeing like, wait, there's a huge gap here.
And now when it comes to media, do you think the government should also try to spread it to the private, media houses as well to, also work hand in hand also to disseminate the information that is required? Probably a certain time, where, subjects, from, educators will be able to be televised on TV and then also on radio, based as well, because we're looking at people that are not, that may have, some physical or, they could be blind as well. So those challenges, I think, should also be, incorporated or looked into.
People who are differently.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to looking at the best way that government can do this, the answer usually is when it comes to public-private partnerships, it's all about making it worthwhile. At the end of the day, I'm always going to say we can't force corporates to do anything. It has to be beneficial for them, because at the end of the day, corporates are profit making. They're in it for profit. Of course they do have aspects.
Well, it won't be for free, because if there's a certain fee that's attached to it, because they also need to make money.
Of course.
They are a business.
Yeah,
so if
incentivize it, or like you said, if it means that they pay, but they'll say, look, if it costs, say, for example, 2 kwacha to have 15 seconds of screen time, then they can say, look, we'll give it to you because it's for social good. We'll give this particular,
like a corporate social responsibility.
We'll give it at 75 and or 1 kwacha 50. So it's all about finding ways to leverage these partnerships and relationships for the greater good. And I think now is a really good time for organizations to shift their corporate social responsibility to align to the times. A lot of the times, CSR is aligned to going out into the communities and donating stuff, but in a situation where we can't move as much, donations can take slightly different forms at this particular time to be responsive to the time.
I like that point that you've just raised. I do feel like I remember a certain time I was thinking to myself, say it shouldn't really just be about like monetary form of donation. There is some knowledge that can be shared as well. There is some type of management or skills that people could also learn during this pandemic as well, because one thing's for sure is that we do not know when this pandemic is going to end as well. And if the government says, okay, we want to work with private institutions as well, not to twist anyone's arm, but this is the offer that we have, then leave it up to the private institutions to make those decisions on whether they want to engage themselves in wanting to work collaboratively with the government as well, to ensure that in one way or another, the pupils that are not really able to find that information easily are able to access it through those platforms that they are sharing as well. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. Social good will never go out of fashion. I think everyone needs to take time to see, how can I give back to my community?
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be about taking. You need to give back to the community and find a way for it to align to your brand. I think everyone at this point, if they look at their strategy or their ethos, can find a way to be supportive to different areas that need help at the moment. Right.
Sure.
And we move to our next story, which is the Green Party president, Peter Sinkamba, has said that the director of public prosecution should think twice before punishing people who withdraw cases. In a statement made to the media in reaction to the Director of Public Prosecutions, Lillian Sinyuni's proposed amendment of the law to introduce penalties for people with a tendency of recanting or withdrawing court cases. So Mr. Sinkamba said that he did not think the DPP fully understood the consequences, especially to the state, if punishments were to be handed down to the persons who withdraw cases. So Mr. Sinkamba said the punishment will have to be met to both the state and individuals, adding that what was good for the goose must be good for the gander. So citing the treason case against Hakainde Hichilema and 5 others, Mr. Sinkamba said that the state would be paying colossal amounts of nolle prosequi, which the DPP enters time and time again. And so this is a very interesting story from the Green Party president, who I feel, I feel he doesn't get a lot of press coverage. I feel it's been a long time since he's been in the news.
Yeah.
Do you think people should be punished for withdrawing cases?
When I looked at the story, I was thinking about probably a woman, that raised a complaint against, or filed a complaint against the husband. And where we've had all these domestic abuses that have been withdrawn, for the longest time, every now and then. So I'm thinking, if she goes and says, please withdraw this case because my husband is a breadwinner and we can't afford him, being away from home, where is she going to get that money to actually, pay that fine for withdrawing the case as well? I think this was my angle, of looking at this particular story. It comes to Hakainde Hichilema or whoever, the big fish or whatnot. I think those can take their care of themselves. But I'm looking at it.
Average Zambian.
Exactly. But
then they afford a penalty.
Well, they probably could. But how about an average Zambian probably may not, always afford a penalty. So I don't think I really agree completely with the DPP president.
I also feel that we should not have penalties being slapped on people who, I don't know, should they be like a track record? For example, if you, SALIFYANJI BWEUPE, have gone 4 times and 3 times you've withdrawn, then you want to withdraw.
Is it the same case though?
It
depends now, eh?
But then that now becomes so much admin. Who's keeping track of how many times? But for me, I like that you gave an example of instances of domestic abuse, and if someone is coming forward and they want to withdraw a case at that level, it gets a bit. You don't want to. Well, when it comes to the court of law and that type of thing, you don't want a situation where people fear coming forward to create a case where they've been aggrieved or wronged, right? Because you want to have people have the faith and the confidence to say, look, this is a tough case to take to court, but I will take it and I will see it through. And with things like intimidation, people withdraw cases for various reasons. But I feel that
or defamation
cases. I feel like there should be leniency and let the court have a bit more patience and allow people to figure out what it is.
True, yes. Right, I think maybe somehow instead of the courts always, imposing or, charging you with, a fine of some sort or sentencing you, sometimes maybe they could allow for, dialogue between 2 people that are involved, like what's happening, so that it doesn't happen again, because like you said, if how many times are they going to go back, to the court, and with what case? Is it the same case or it's a different case as well? And also before you come in, what if this is a case against the state? And yes, I do understand that we've seen quite a number of cases that have entered Enole Prosqua, but then this is the DPP saying, no, this, case cannot carry on. So who is going to be fined in this case? So it raises such questions as well.
Right. So it also brings me...
Maybe it lacks a kind of depth, really. Should have added more meat to it to really just explain what it really means,
Well, which brings me to, I'm totally going to use a TV example.
Okay.
Don't judge me, Sally. But you know how there's so many American-based legal dramas and series, right? And we always have there's always a moment where they say, this case is costing the United States government, taxpayer, so much money. When you look at it from that perspective, how much of you and my money does it cost for us to have certain cases just moving back and forth in court, right? Yeah. So maybe also when we look at it from the value of the resources and the time. Time wasting costs money. So there's also, I'm trying to see both sides of it. So to avoid time wasting, a penalty will be slapped on the person who withdraws the case. So meaning, if you are coming to the courts of law, you are serious, you're prepared, you're ready to fight it out. And so on that note, we go to a break and we'll be back with more stories after this with me and SALIFYANJI. Stay tuned.
welcome back. You are watching News Report with me, SALIFYANJI BWEUPE.
And I am KAMOTA MAYONDI.
And you're watching us on your Top Star channel 112, as well as our Facebook live feed, that is live TV as well. And into international stories, the number of people unemployed in the United States has risen for the first time since March. It comes as some pandemic unemployment benefits are set to expire unless Congress renews them. But as Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo reports from New York, many jobless Americans are still waiting for money they were promised. Take a look at this clip. All right, I guess we have to wind up the news report for this evening.
Right, and it has been a very good show. We started with a conversation with Dr. SIATWAMBO, thank you very much. And the conversation was on COVID-19 and its impact on examination classes. And we led with the following stories this evening. ZAW urges government to support rural schools with internet service. Sinkamba counsels DPP on proposal to punish people who withdraw cases. And from the international news, US, many still awaiting promised stimulus check.
All right, so this is all we had for you this evening. Join us again on Saturday for
morning.
Another episode of the News Report from now. And as the presenters and of course the production team, is good night and God bless.
Good night.